Hi, I'm Kathy Zandona, and I work for Greater Louisville Inc., the Metro Chamber of Commerce in Louisville, Kentucky. And I am the Vice President of Education, and I've been at this for the last 4.5 years.
Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about the size of your city, too. How many people live there? And for that matter, if you know, how many college grads? Just ballpark.
So we're a city-county merged community of about 800,000 people. We want to grow bigger, and we want to make sure everybody has a college degree. College graduations in Louisville. What we look at is how the percentage of the adult population ages 25 to 64 that have a college degree. And we began this work at looking at it was back in 2008. And at that time, some of the data told us it was about 29%. And we are now at 31% on the last census data that came in. So we're moving ahead, but we're not moving ahead nearly as much as we need to. Now that's with bachelor's degrees. And then another part of our goal is to increase the number of adults with associate degrees also. And we hope to get that to 10% of the adult population by 2020, and then 40% of the adult population with bachelor's degrees by 2020.
Okay.
So we have a long way to go.
Yeah, yeah. Now, how did you begin partnering as far as the Greater Louisville Chamber with 55,000 degrees? How did that partnership begin?
Well, that partnership all began probably, I think we get to go back to 2002 when the Chamber got really engaged in education in our community and realized that we really needed to start looking at how we did things differently. And we began with the mayor's office. The mayor then was Jerry Abramson, and the Jefferson County Public Schools, a program called Everyone Read. Mm-hmm. And that program's goal was to have all students reading at grade level by 2008, within 4 years. Mm-hmm. And then that was the school district's part. And then our part was to recruit 10,000 volunteers and raise $8 million to make a difference in the school system. So jumping forward, fast forward, we also have a community that really believes in looking at data. And so some of our local foundations organized what's known as the Greater Louisville Project. And that's when the data in 2005 started coming out about where we stood, how we looked to our peer cities, Raleigh, Durham, Indianapolis, Nashville. And at that time, we were at the bottom tier of our peer cities with an educated workforce. So again, those two data points, along with the business sector, realizing the importance of an educated workforce, we at GLI began working very closely with to understand what was happening in Louisville. And at the same time, again, Mayor Jerry Abramson, along with Mary Glenn Wheeler, we're also really looking at education. And the partnership began there. So we have a business community, a team over here. We have the mayor's office working with the school district. And we hosted one of the first Dropout Solution Summits from Colin Powell's initiative in 2008. And it was at that point, in July of 2008, that it became real apparent that these two forces needed to come together and really start working hard at improving education attainment. And so the mayor in November of 2008 called together 22 business leaders, post-secondary academic, university presidents, chancellors, Jefferson Community College, and our public and private K-12 system. And everybody came together one day in November of 2008. And the goal of the meeting was to decide, do we have issues here, and is there something that we can do collectively to make a difference? And at the end of the meeting, the answer was yes. And that was the most successful meeting. It was the beginning of a series of very successful meetings that went over a period of about 2 years. And in that period of 2 years, what happened was we really began looking at the data and really began asking ourselves, what do we need to do to change this? And we were fortunate that we had an outside consultant. Business Higher Education Forum was working with us. They're a DC firm based on business leaders and academic leaders, again, university presidents working together. And they came to Louisville, and they'd been working with us, the chamber side, and they became our, I guess, our neutral third party, that group out there that could come in and ask about 60 different individuals in the community questions about what do we need to do. And so we gathered from that in July of 2009. We had a strategy session. And at that strategy session, again, those 23 people agreed that, yes, those 5 areas that we need to work on were right. We just needed to make them our own. And they agreed to 40,000 more bachelor's degrees by 2020 And somebody, as they were walking out the door, just said, and by the way, you need to add some associate degrees to that. So we did the numbers on that, and we added 15,000 associate degrees. And then we spent another year. I know it seems like it's a long time, but it's partnerships get forged. We spent another year really drilling deep into the 5 areas: creating the college-going culture, using businesses' unique leverage to make a difference, affordability and accessibility, persistence to completion, and all students graduating college and career ready from our K through 12 system. In May of 2010, again, those 23 people got together in a ceremony of the signing of the Greater Louisville Education Commitment. It took place. They all signed it, and they were all on board. Then we spent the summer raising money, and in October 15th, 2010, we launched 55,000 degrees. And we spent a year working on that, moving it forward, and actually we're now beginning our 3rd year of 55,000 degrees. And we, at the Chamber, my role and responsibility is making sure that everything we do in education is to help us achieve 55,000 more degrees by 2020.
Have there been some challenges or some, I suppose either way, some challenges or some real high points to your work in cross-sector partnerships? I mean, I know that's a really broad question, but was it hard getting this going, or were those 23 people so committed that it sounds like they've kept going with this for years now, and they're just totally on board, which you're lucky.
I feel like we're lucky, but I also think that it can be duplicated. I think it takes somebody waking up every morning and they know that this is what we're about and what we do. And so we're fortunate that there's more than one somebody in our community that does that. So based on the work that we do at the Chamber and the work that the staff of 55,000 degrees are doing, we're able to reach out and continue to make those partnerships workable. And it's really helped. It's all about, I think it's really about trust, if you want to know, and having a common goal. It's amazing what a common goal can do for you. The community is galvanized around the number 55,000 degrees. And it's not a percentage. And that's what I think that's what I like about it. It's truly a number. It's something out there. It's audacious. It's what were we thinking when we came up with it. There are times when I think we must have been out of our minds. And there's a quick story that I tell about it. When we really looked at the numbers initially around bachelor's degrees, we looked at it from a perspective of, what would get us to the middle of the top tier. And that answer was really only 37,000 more would get us to 40%. But everybody in the room, and there was just 4 of us in the room, thought, 37,000, nobody will get excited about that. Let's make it 40. I thought that was great. So we gave ourselves 3,000 more than we needed, but that was okay because 40 is more galvanizing than 37. And then the 55,000 just is really exciting to do. Challenges are, it takes time. And I think the work that both Mary Gwen and I would say, and she's now the executive director of 55,000 degrees, we would both say that the real goal is that you really have to nurture the partnerships. You have to talk to people. You have to meet with them. You have to make sure you're listening. And I think Mary Gwen definitely has that skill of listening. Sometimes I do. I'm a little bit more anxious to get things done, and that's probably from a chamber perspective that makes that happen. That we really need to move this. We've got economic development that rests on us being successful. We have to have a more educated workforce to grow our businesses and bring businesses to our community.